Nia Rivers witnessed a murder, or so she thought. A powerful Korean man named Min Lee offered her protection, but protection was a lie. He'd been watching her for months, tracking her every move. The murder? A setup. Everything designed to make her desperate enough to accept his offer. She wasn't rescued, she was acquired. Min owned her, every breath, every moment. He promised he wouldn't touch her, and he kept that promise, because he never promised he wouldn't own her. Then came the auction. Nia stood on a stage while dangerous men bid millions for her body. 22 million. That's what she was worth to them. Min wasn't bidding. He said he couldn't. But when the moment came, when she was about to be sold to the highest bidder, he made a choice. He stole her back, fought through bullets, got shot, bled for her. And in a parking garage with a gun aimed at her heart, he chose her over his entire empire. But the nightmare wasn't over. Ji-woo, the woman Nia thought was a victim, revealed herself as the true villain, the puppet master, the one who'd been pulling Min strings for 3 years. She owned him, the mansion, the cars, the power. All of it was hers. Min was never the master. He was always the slave. And the murder Nia witnessed? Ji-woo ordered it. Everything, every single moment, was orchestrated. But then the impossible happened. A sniper saved them. Someone with the initials MR, and a text message arrived with a photo that shattered Nia's world. The dead man from the murder, alive, and a message. Tell Nia her mother sends her regards. Her mother, who died 8 years ago. Except, she didn't. Margaret Rivers is alive, in Korea. And she's been watching her daughter suffer this entire time. Immigration records proved it. She entered Korea 3 years ago, the same year Nia arrived. Everything Nia thought she knew was a lie. Her mother faked her death, abandoned her, watched her starve and struggle. Why? Now it's midnight. Min and Nia are driving to the Han River dock to face the woman who destroyed everything. Her mother is waiting, and every lie is about to come to light. This is the finale. This is where it ends. Before we begin the final chapter of this story, if you've made it this far, you're invested. You need to know how this ends. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button right now, because what happens next will change everything, and you won't want to miss a single second. If you are new here, make sure to watch part 1 of this series to understand how we got here. Now, let's finish this. The safe house in Itaewon. Late evening. The apartment was still a mess from Nia's breakdown. Broken glass swept into corners. Overturned furniture pushed against walls. The lamp she'd thrown, shattered pieces still on the floor, but they'd cleared enough space to function, to prepare. Min sat on the edge of the mattress, shirtless, his shoulder freshly bandaged. Nia had bought proper medical supplies from a 24-hour pharmacy, antiseptic, gauze, surgical tape, butterfly bandages. The wound looked better now, closed, no infection, but he was still pale, still weak, moving like every motion cost him. Nia sat cross-legged on the floor across from him, the small brass key in her palm, turning it over and over. The tarnished metal catching the dim light. Between them on the floor, 2 guns, extra ammunition clips, a knife with a leather sheath, the fake passports Min kept in his emergency stash. New names, new faces, new lives, stacks of cash in different currencies. Everything they might need. Everything they might need to run, to hide, to disappear if they survived the night. Min picked up one of the guns, a compact pistol, black, deadly. He checked the magazine with practiced efficiency. Loaded. He engaged the safety with a click, then held it out to Nia. She stared at it, her reflection distorted in the dark metal. "I don't know how to use that," she said quietly. "I know. That's why I'm going to teach you." "Now?" She looked up at him. "We leave in 2 hours and you're giving me a crash course in how to kill someone? I'm giving you a crash course in how to survive." His voice was firm. "There's a difference." She hesitated, then reached out and took the gun. It was heavier than she expected, cold. The weight of it felt wrong in her hand, foreign, like holding death itself. Min stood slowly, wincing as the movement pulled at his shoulder. He moved behind her, knelt, his chest against her back. his arms coming around hers. "Finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot," he said quietly, his breath warm against her ear. Professional, controlled. Both hands, firm grip but don't strangle it. Arms slightly bent, not locked. Nia tried to focus on his words, on the instruction, but she could feel his heartbeat against her spine. Steady, strong. Could smell his skin, clean soap and underneath. Something that was just him. Something she'd recognize anywhere now. "Aim with both eyes open if you can," he continued. His hands adjusted her grip gently. "Don't close one eye like in the movies. You need depth perception, point and shoot. Don't overthink it. Your instincts are better than you know." "My instincts got me into this mess," she muttered, his hand stilled on hers. "No, my actions got you into this mess. Your instincts kept you alive." She felt something shift in her chest. He adjusted her arms slightly. "There, that's the stance. Now, safety off. Here." He guided her thumb. Click. "Aim at that wall, the one without windows. Breathe, don't hold it, just breathe normally. Then squeeze the trigger, slowly, like you're pressing a button. It's not loaded, right?" "No, but you treat every gun like it is. Every single time. Loaded or not." She did as he said, focused on the wall, breathed, squeezed. Click. The hammer fell on an empty chamber, the sound loud in the quiet apartment. "Good," Minjun said. "Again, don't tense up before you shoot. Stay relaxed until the moment you commit." They practiced for 20 minutes, his hands guiding hers, his voice steady and patient, teaching her to aim, to breathe, to pull the trigger without flinching, to survive. When they finally stopped, he stepped back. She lowered the gun, set it carefully on the floor. Silence settled over them, heavy, loaded with everything unsaid. "Minjun," Nia said quietly, not turning around, "if this goes wrong tonight, if I tell you to run, you run. Don't look back." "No, I'm serious." "So am I." He moved to face her, knelt down so they were eye level. "I'm not leaving you, not for anything. But, Nia, we're in this together. That's what you said. Remember? Together means we both make it out, or neither of us does." She met his eyes, those smoke-gray eyes that had been cold and empty when she first saw them. But now they were full of something she didn't have a name for. "Together," she whispered. She reached up slowly, touched his face, her dark fingers against his pale skin. Traced the scar above his eyebrow, the one his father gave him, the sharp line of his jaw, the curve of his lips, like she was memorizing him. "I need you to know something," she said. "Whatever happens tonight, whatever my mother says or does, I want you to know that I..." Buzz. His phone vibrated on the floor between them. The moment shattered like glass. Minjun grabbed the phone, read the message. His jaw tightened. "What?" Nia asked. "What does it say?" He turned the screen toward her. "You're almost late. Don't keep your mother waiting. Han River, Old Dock, end of the pier, midnight. Come alone, but we both know you won't." "Mom." Nia's hands started shaking. Minjun checked his watch. "We have 40 minutes. Then we should go." "Nia, no." She stood abruptly, grabbed her jacket. "No more waiting, no more talking. Let's get this over with." He stood too, slower, grabbed his own jacket, checked his gun one more time. Extra magazine in his pocket, knife strapped to his ankle. They moved toward the door. At the threshold, Nia stopped, turned back. "Minjun, if this goes wrong, it won't. But if it does, then we handle it. Together." He stepped closer. "But I need you to promise me something." "What?" "If I tell you to run, if I tell you to use that gun I just taught you to use, you don't hesitate, you don't think, you just do it. Understand?" She swallowed hard, nodded. He touched her face, gentle. "Good. Let's go face your ghost." They walked out together into the cold soul night. Minjun drove. A different car this time, one he kept registered under a fake name. Generic sedan, gray, forgettable. Nothing that would stand out. Seoul at night was beautiful, all neon and steel and glass. A million lights, a million lives, people in restaurants and bars and walking home from late shifts, normal people living normal lives, unaware of the darkness that lived in the cracks between buildings, the monsters that wore human faces. Nia watched the city blur past her window. Her hand clutched the brass key so hard the edges cut into her palm. She didn't loosen her grip. "What do you think this opens?" she asked quietly. Minjun kept his eyes on the road, one hand on the wheel, the other resting on his thigh near his gun, always ready. "Something your mother wanted you to have access to," he said, "or something she wanted to trap you with. With her, it could be either. She said she was protecting me." Nia's voice was hollow. "Do you think any of that was true? Even a little?" He was quiet for a long moment. Traffic lights painted his face red, then green, then red again. "I think people tell themselves whatever story they need to justify their actions," he finally said. "They rewrite history until they're the hero, until what they did makes sense." Nia thought about that, turned to look at him. "Is that what you did? With me?" His hands tightened on the wheel. "Yes," the honesty cut. "I told myself I was keeping you safe," he continued, voice low. "That you were better off with me than dead in an alley. That I was being merciful by giving you shelter, food, protection. Were you? I don't know." He glanced at her. "Maybe merciful and monstrous aren't that different when you're the one with all the power." The Han River came into view, wide, dark, city lights reflecting on the water like fallen stars. They drove in silence, turned down a service road, away from the main streets, away from people. The old dock appeared ahead, abandoned, wooden structure stretching out into the water. Fog rolling in from the river, thick and cold. "Minjun," Nia's voice cracked. "What if I can't do this? What if I see her and I just break?" He reached over without looking, found her hand, squeezed once. Hard. "Then I'll hold you together." She looked at their joined hands, his pale fingers threaded through her dark ones. Blood under his nails, bandages peeking out from his sleeve. Two broken people holding on. "Why?" The question came out as a whisper. "Why are you still doing this? You don't owe me anything anymore. You could disappear right now. Take the fake passport, the money, new identity, new life. Be free." He pulled the car over, stopped, put it in park, turned to face her fully. "Because for the first time in my entire life," he said slowly, carefully, "I'm choosing something for myself. Something that wasn't decided for me, bought for me, ordered, arranged, forced." His smoke-gray eyes held hers, steady, sure. "And I choose you, Nia. Not because you're trapped here, not because you owe me, not because I own you, or you need me, or any of that bullshit." He leaned closer. "I choose you because you're the only real thing I've ever had in my life." Nia's breath caught in her throat. They leaned toward each other, slow, inevitable, like gravity pulling them together. His lips were inches from hers. Buzz. His phone. They both froze. He grabbed it, looked at the screen. His expression hardened. "What?" Nia asked. "She's watching. Says we're stalling." He showed her the message. "I can see you from here. Stop making out and get on the dock. You have 5 minutes or I leave and you never get answers." "Mom." Nia felt ice in her stomach. Minjun started the car again, drove the last 100 yards to the parking area at the dock's entrance, cut the engine. They sat in sudden, crushing silence. Just the sound of water lapping against wooden posts. Fog pressing against the windows. Their breathing. "Nia." Minjun's voice was quiet. "Whatever happens out there, don't." She turned to him sharply. "Don't say goodbye. We're not doing that." "I'm not. I just need you to know." "I know," her eyes glistened. "I know, okay? You don't have to say it. I know." And maybe she did. Maybe they'd already said everything that mattered. In silence, in blood, in choices. They got out of the car. The fog was thick, cold and wet against their skin. The dock stretched ahead into white nothingness. Old wooden planks, railings missing in places. The structure creaking, even with no one on it. The city lights across the river were ghosts in the fog. Nia pulled her jacket tighter. Minjun checked his gun one more time. chambered around. Safety off now. Ready. He nodded at her. She nodded back. Together they stepped onto the dock. Each footstep echoed, wood creaking under their weight, water black and infinite below. Somewhere in the fog, a boat horn sounded, mournful, far away. They walked slowly, side by side. Minjun's hand near his gun, Nia's hand gripping the brass key. Halfway down the dock, Nia whispered, "I don't see anyone." Minjun's eyes scanned the fog, the shapes in it, the shadows. "They're here," he said quietly. "I can feel them watching." They kept walking, every sense on high alert, adrenaline making everything sharp and clear and too bright. The end of the dock emerged from the fog, a small platform, railings on three sides, the river stretching out into darkness. No one. "Where is she?" Nia's voice shook. Minjun turned slowly, scanning. "I don't... Right behind you, baby girl." They spun around, but it wasn't her mother. A man stood there, 10 feet away, Asian, 40s, expensive suit, handsome in a cold way, and familiar. Nia's world tilted. It was him, the murder victim, the man she'd watched die, very much alive, and smiling. Nia couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't process what her eyes were seeing. This was impossible. She'd watched him die, watched the blood spread across expensive carpet, watched his eyes go empty, watched him fall. "Miss Rivers, Mr. Lee." The man's voice was smooth, professional, American accent underneath the Korean. "Thank you for coming." Minjun's gun was up instantly, aimed at the man's chest. "Who the hell are you?" The man raised his hands slowly, palms out, non-threatening. "Easy, I'm not your enemy here. My name is David Chen, Agent David Chen, National Intelligence Service." He reached slowly into his jacket, 2 fingers, careful, pulled out a leather credentials wallet, held it out. Minjun moved forward cautiously, kept the gun trained on Chen, took the credentials with his free hand, flipped them open. His face went pale. "They're real," he said quietly. "NIS. Active agent." Nia found her voice. It came out broken, raw. You were dead. I watched you die. There was blood everywhere. You fell. You saw me pretend to die," Chen said gently, almost apologetically. "Quite convincingly, I've been told. Stage blood, squib pack under my shirt. Practiced the fall a dozen times. I'm sorry you had to witness that, Miss Rivers. Truly. But it was necessary." "Necessary?" Nia's voice rose to a scream. "Necessary? You destroyed my life. Everything that's happened, the stalking, the mansion, the auction, all of it started with that night, with you." "No." Chen's voice was firm but kind. "It was already in motion long before that night. Miss Rivers, I didn't destroy your life. I revealed it. There's a difference." Minjun still had his gun up, finger on the trigger. "You have 30 seconds to explain before I decide you're better off actually dead this time." Chen nodded slowly. "Fair enough." He pulled out a tablet from inside his jacket, tapped the screen. The glow illuminated his face in the fog. "I've been undercover for 3 years," he said, "investigating a human trafficking network. One of the largest operations in East Asia. Thousands of victims, billions in revenue. But the person running it is a ghost." He turned the tablet toward them. Photos appeared on screen. Women, young, from different countries, different faces but the same dead eyes. "We had the middle management, people like Jiwoo. We had the buyers, the transporters, the money launderers. But the person at the top, the one giving orders? We had nothing." Another tap. The photos changed to financial documents, wire transfers, shell companies, accounts in the Caymans, Singapore, Switzerland. "So we set a trap," Chen continued. "We staged my death, made it public enough that someone would witness it, someone vulnerable, someone they could acquire and control. We knew Jiwoo would activate her primary asset." He nodded at Minjun. "And he'd bring in the witness." He looked at Nia, his expression sympathetic, almost sad. "What we didn't know was that the witness would be connected to our primary target." He swiped the screen. The image changed. A woman appeared, late 50s, beautiful, elegant, regal bearing, expensive clothes, Cold eyes, Margaret Rivers. But the screen split. Multiple photos. Same woman, different names. Maria Okonkwo, Mary Chen, Margot Ricci, Magda Volkov. Your mother, Chen said quietly, isn't just Margaret Rivers. She's one of the most successful human traffickers in East Asia. Nia's knees buckled. Minjun caught her, held her up. No, she whispered. That's not. She wouldn't. Chen swiped again. More documents appeared. Financial records, travel logs spanning 15 years, properties in 12 countries, bank accounts with numbers that made Minjun's breath catch. She started small, Chen explained. Lagos, recruiting young women for better opportunities abroad, domestic work, factory jobs. But she kept them, sold them, built an empire on their suffering. Another swipe. Photos of luxury homes, cars, jewelry. She expanded to East Asia 10 years ago. Korea became her base of operations. She's careful, uses cutouts. People like Ji Woo run the day-to-day operations. Your mother never touches the product directly? He paused. Let that sink in. Until you. Nia looked up, tears streaming down her face. What? You're not just her daughter, Miss Rivers. You're her insurance policy. Chen pulled up new files. Photos of a man, distinguished, black, American, late 50s, campaign posters visible behind him. Do you know who your father is? Chen asked gently. Nia shook her head. He died before I was born. My mother never talked about him. He didn't die. His name is James Mitchell. United States Senator, currently running for president. The photo zoomed in. Mitchell for president banners, crowds, American flags. Nia stared. The world wasn't making sense anymore. Your mother had an affair with him 30 years ago, Chen continued. Lagos. He was there with the Peace Corps. Young, idealistic. They had a relationship. She got pregnant. He wanted her to terminate. She refused. He left. Went back to America. Built a political career. Got married. Had other children. Legitimate ones. Chen's voice was gentle, clinical, like a doctor delivering a terminal diagnosis. He never knew you survived. Your mother told him she'd taken care of it, but she kept you, raised you. And when she decided to expand her operations and needed leverage against American politicians, she realized, I'm worth more as a weapon than a daughter, Nia finished, her voice dead, empty. Yes, the word hung in the fog. She faked her death to protect you from her enemies, Chen said. That part was true, but she also did it to position you, brought you to Korea where she could watch you, control you, and when the time was right, use me to destroy my father's career. Nia looked at Minjun. I'm a political nuclear bomb. He pulled her closer, said nothing. What could he say? Chen pocketed his tablet. Senator Mitchell found out about you 6 months ago, started investigating. That's when your mother accelerated her plans. She needed you acquired, controlled. Under her thumb before Mitchell could find you. That's where I came in, Minjun said quietly, his voice hollow. Yes, Ji Woo gave you the assignment. Acquire Nia Rivers, keep her isolated. We believe your mother was planning to use you as the middleman. Nia held by a dangerous Korean criminal that Mitchell would have to negotiate with. Pressure, blackmail. But things didn't go according to plan, Chen continued. You started caring about her, made choices that weren't in the script. And your mother, she doesn't like improvisation. Nia pulled away from Minjun, wrapped her arms around herself. Where is she? My mother. You said she was here. Chen looked toward the end of the dock, into the fog. She's been here the whole time, listening. From the white nothing, footsteps, slow, deliberate, heels clicking on wood. A figure emerged from the fog, tall, elegant, wearing a long coat, hair perfect, face like an older mirror of Nia's. Margaret Rivers stepped into view. She looked at her daughter and smiled. Hello, baby girl, she said softly. You're even more beautiful than the surveillance photos. Nia couldn't move, couldn't speak. Her throat had closed completely. This woman, this stranger wearing her mother's face. She looked exactly like Nia remembered, but different. Older, yes, but also harder. The warmth Nia remembered in old photos. Gone. Replaced by something cold. Calculating. Nothing to say? Margaret's smile was gentle, mocking. After all this time? After all you've been through? Nia's voice came out as a whisper. You let me think you were dead. I gave you freedom, Margaret corrected. A clean slate. A chance to build your own life without my shadow. You sent me to suffer. I sent you somewhere I could protect you. Margaret's composure cracked slightly. Do you think I could keep you in Lagos? Near my business? You were a target, Nia. Every enemy I have would have used you to get to me. She stepped closer. Chen moved aside, giving them space. So I gave you a new life. Sent you to Korea where I had resources. Could watch over you. Keep you safe. Safe? Nia's voice broke. I was homeless, starving, scrubbing toilets for cash, sleeping in hostels with bedbugs. You call that safe? You were alive. Margaret's voice went hard. Do you have any idea how many people wanted to kill you just to hurt me? How many times I had to redirect threats? Eliminate problems? You think you were struggling? I was keeping you breathing. By watching me. Nia pulled out her phone, showed the old surveillance photos Minjun had found. You tracked me, like an animal. Like my daughter, Margaret snapped. Like the most precious thing I have in this world. Then why didn't you just talk to me? Why the lies? Why fake your death? Margaret's face softened, just slightly. Because you would have tried to find me, tried to save me from my business. You always were too good, too naive, too much like your father. She looked at Minjun. And speaking of men who think they can own you, Minjun stepped forward, placed himself slightly between them. I don't own her anymore. She's free. Margaret laughed. Free? She's standing on this dock because of you. Because you acquired her. Because you followed orders like a good little puppet. I broke those strings. Did you? Margaret's eyes glittered. Or did I just hand you longer rope? The implications settled like stones. The auction, Minjun said slowly. You weren't going to let anyone else buy her. It was always going to be you. Of course, bidder 3. That was me. Jiwoo works for me. Always has. She was testing you. Seeing if you'd follow through. If you'd sell the girl you'd been falling for. She smiled at the look on his face. Oh yes, I knew. I know everything about you, Mr. Lee. How you looked at her when you thought no one was watching. How you hesitated. How you chose her over your empire. That must have been disappointing, Minjun said coldly. On the contrary, it was perfect. Because now she trusts you. Depends on you. And that makes this next part so much easier. Margaret turned back to Nia, pulled out her own phone, held it up. A video played. Live feed. A man. Tied to a chair. Beaten. Bloodied. Face swollen but recognizable from the photos Chen had shown. Senator James Mitchell, Nia's father. This is your father, Margaret said calmly. The man who abandoned us. The man who's about to become the most powerful person in America. She watched Nia's face. He's been looking for you. For months. Trying to make amends. Trying to bring you into his perfect family. Legitimize you. The video showed Mitchell struggling against his restraints. Screaming something the audio didn't catch. Here's your choice, Nia, Margaret said, voice cold, businesslike. Come with me, work for me, use your connection to him to help me expand operations into America. And I let him live. She swiped the screen. Another video. Minjun, a crosshair over his head. Or refuse. I kill your father. I kill your boyfriend. And you spend the rest of your very short life running from me. Nia stared at the screen. At the father she'd never known. At the crosshair over Minjun. At the impossible choice. Margaret stepped closer. I know this is hard, baby girl, but family sticks together, and you're my daughter, my blood, my legacy. Choose, she said softly, family or fantasy. Silence fell over the dock, just fog and water and 3 people at the end of the world. Minjun touched Nia's arm gently. Whatever you choose, he said quietly. I understand. Nia looked at the phone, at her father, beaten, helpless, a stranger. At the crosshair over Minjun, the man who'd owned her, hurt her, chosen her. Then at her mother, the woman who'd lied, abandoned, claimed it was love. She thought about everything, every moment, every choice that had been stolen from her, and she made one of her own. No, Margaret blinked. What? I said no. Nia's voice was steady, firm. To all of it. Nia, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. Nia stepped forward. You don't get to make this choice for me. Not anymore. He doesn't, she nodded at her father on the screen, get to suddenly claim me when it's convenient. She looked at Minjun. And you gave up your right to make choices for me when you chose me over your empire. Back to her mother. You want me to choose family? Fine. But you're not my family. You gave that up when you faked your death, when you watched me suffer, when you turned me into a weapon. Margaret's face hardened. You're making a mistake. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. Nia pulled out the brass key, held it up. What does this open? Margaret's composure cracked. Real fear flickered across her face. Where did you get that? Someone named MR left it for me. My father's people. Ring any bells? That key, Margaret's voice shook. That opens a safety deposit box. Evidence Mitchell gathered against me. Financial records. Witness statements, everything. Chen stepped forward. If you open that box, Miss Rivers, your mother goes to prison. For life. But, Margaret added quickly, that evidence connects him to me too. To you. His career ends. His family destroyed. Everything he built, gone. She moved closer to Nia, desperate now. So choose, Nia. Destroy me and destroy him, or give me the key. Join me. We rule this world together. Nia looked at the key in her palm, the weight of it, the power, then walked to the edge of the dock. Nia, what are you? Margaret started. Nia threw the key into the Han River. It splashed, sank, gone. Everyone froze. What did you do? Margaret screamed. Nia turned. I destroyed both your plans. No evidence, no leverage, no blackmail, no weapons. She walked back, stood tall. You brought me to Korea to control me. You failed. You wanted to use me against my father. You failed. You wanted me to be your legacy. I refuse. Tears streamed down her face, but her voice never wavered. I'm not your weapon. I'm not his dirty secret. I'm not Minjun's possession. I'm not anyone's anything. She looked at Minjun. Except maybe his, if he'll have me, as an equal, as a choice, not as property. Minjun stepped forward, took her hand. Always. Margaret stared, her perfect control shattered. You stupid, ungrateful. She pulled a gun from her coat, aimed it at Nia. Minjun moved to shield her. Crack! A rifle shot echoed across the water. Margaret stumbled, dropped the gun, clutched her shoulder. Blood seeped through her fingers. Everyone looked up. Across the river, a rooftop, the silhouette of a sniper. Minjun's phone buzzed. Text. Third time I've saved you. Now you really owe me. Get out. Chen will handle the rest. MR. Chen moved forward quickly, pulled out handcuffs. Margaret Rivers, you're under arrest. You have the right. This isn't over, Margaret screamed as Chen cuffed her. Do you hear me? This isn't. Multiple cars suddenly screeched to a stop at the shore. NIS agents, armed, professional. They swarmed the dock, took Margaret from Chen, led her away still screaming threats. Chen turned to Nia and Minjun. You should go, now, before anyone asks questions you don't want to answer. What about my father? Nia asked. We're tracking the location from that video. We'll get him out. Chen paused. He'll want to meet you, eventually. Tell him I'll think about it. Someday, maybe. Nia took Minjun's hand. But not today. Chen nodded. For what it's worth, you made the right choice. Did I? You chose yourself. That's always the right choice. They walked past him, down the dock, away from the lights and sirens and chaos. Together. 6 months later, the morning was perfect. Warm golden light, salt air, the sound of waves and seagulls and life continuing without violence. Nia walked through the outdoor market, a basket on her arm. Her hair was different, lighter, sun-bleached, longer. She wore a simple white dress, sandals, a straw hat. She looked happy. Actually, genuinely happy. She bought fruit from a vendor who knew her name now, bread from the baker who always gave her extra. wine from the old man who'd started teaching her Portuguese. She walked back to their house, small, blue shutters, garden in the back. Nothing like the mansion in Seoul. Perfect. Inside, she could hear swearing, creative, multilingual swearing. She smiled, set down the basket. Min-jun stood in the kitchen, glaring at a smoking pan. His hair was unstyled, messy, casual. He wore jeans and a t-shirt, the scar above his eyebrow visible, the scar on his shoulder too, permanent now. He looked so different from the cold Mafia boss she'd first met. He looked human. "You're going to burn the house down," Nia said. He turned, saw her. His whole face softened. "Then we'll order pizza. Again." She laughed. The sound was free, genuine. "We've ordered pizza 4 times this week." That's what happens when you fall in love with a man who can kill people but can't cook an egg. She moved to him, wrapped her arms around him from behind, pressed her face against his back. "Are you happy?" she asked quietly. He turned in her arms, looked down at her. "I don't know what happy is yet," he said honestly, "but I'm free, and I'm with you. That's close enough." She reached up, touched his face. "Do you think they'll find us?" "Eventually, they always do. And when they do, we run again." He kissed her forehead. "Together. Together," she echoed. They stood in their small kitchen with the smoking pan and the ruined breakfast and the new life they'd built from the ashes. "Min-jun? Thank you for choosing me." He pulled back, looked at her seriously. "You chose yourself, Nia. You chose freedom. You chose to destroy the key. You chose to walk away from all of it. But you were there, holding me together. And you were there, making me want to be held." He smiled, soft, real. "We saved each other." She kissed him, slow, deep, certain. When they pulled apart, sunlight was streaming through the windows, the ocean visible in the distance. "What now?" she asked. "Now," he considered. "Now we live. Actually live. Not survive. Not hide. Live. And when the past catches up, then we handle it. Together." She smiled. "I like that word. Together." "Me too." They cleaned up the ruined breakfast, laughing, bickering over who was worse at domestic life, making plans to actually learn to cook, or just accept their pizza addiction. Outside, the world turned. Seoul continued without them. The investigations continued. Margaret Rivers sat in a cell. Senator Mitchell recovered and continued his campaign. But here, in this small Portuguese town, 2 broken people were learning to heal. Together. That evening, they walked on the beach, sunset painting the sky gold and pink and purple. Nia had started painting. A new hobby, finding herself in colors and canvas. Her paintings lined the walls of their small house now, mostly abstracts, emotion and pigment. Min-jun had started reading, really reading, philosophy, poetry, things he'd never had time for when he was busy being owned. They were becoming new people, better people. "Do you ever regret it?" Min-jun asked as they walked. "Throwing away the key, you could have destroyed both of them." Nia thought about it. "No, because that would have been using their weapons, their methods. I wanted to choose something different. Peace? Freedom." She squeezed his hand. "Real freedom, the kind where you don't carry your chains with you." He stopped walking, turned to face her. The sunset behind her made her glow. "I love you," he said. Simple, true. "I don't know if I'm allowed to say that after everything I did, but I do. I love you." Nia's eyes filled with tears, happy ones. "You're allowed, and I love you too. The you that you're becoming, the you that chose himself." They kissed on the beach as the sun set. 2 people who'd been owned, controlled, reduced to objects. Now free, now choosing, now living. And somewhere far away in a prison cell, Margaret Rivers sat in darkness. In a campaign office, Senator James Mitchell looked at a photo of the daughter he'd never known. In Seoul, Ji-woo recovered in a hospital, planning her next move. But here, on this beach, none of that mattered, because Nia Rivers and Min-jun Lee had chosen something more powerful than revenge. They'd chosen healing. They'd chosen each other, and they'd chosen to be free. So that's it. That's their story. From surveillance and ownership to freedom and choice. From captor and captive to two people learning to love without chains. It wasn't a perfect ending. They're not fixed. They're still healing. Still learning who they are when they're not defined by trauma. But they're together, by choice. And that's everything. If this story meant something to you, if Nia's journey from powerlessness to agency resonated, leave a comment telling me what you thought. If you want more stories like this, dark, complex, emotionally raw, subscribe, because I have more to tell. And if you've ever felt owned by someone or something, a person, a situation, your own past, I hope this story reminded you. You can choose yourself. You can choose freedom, and you deserve to heal. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Now go live, actually live, not just survive.